Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we interview
Noah Chichester from the Wines of Galicia.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Aaron here with Colin and Joel. As always, we are super excited to have you. And today we are joined by a guest that we are super excited about. We have Noah Chichester. Noah is a storyteller of Galician wine. In 2018, he moved to Galicia and began tracing the roots of a region unlike any other in Spain. When are we just gonna move to another country, guys? We've had so many people on the show who just moved to other countries. I'm sorry, I interrupted the bio. I'm just constantly frustrated by our inability to just leave and move somewhere better. I apologize.
Hard time meeting in New York together, nonetheless, going to a different country.
Right, I digress. What started as a curiosity soon became a mission. After a year in La Rioja, Noah realized how little English language writing existed about Galician wine. Since then, he has crisscrossed Galicia, interviewing winemakers, poring over old documents, and piecing together the story of this extraordinary wine culture. Through his work, Noah opens a door for wine lovers and professionals alike to explore Galicia's distinctive traits. His writing is both a guide and an invitation to discover why Galicia belongs on the world wine stage. Noah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was quite an intro. I'm just a guy who really liked Albariño and then just spiraled. That's quite the. I hope I live up to that.
No, we all just dream to get really liking something and then spiraling and being able to turn that into our lives.
Yeah,
we're trying with the show.
That's funny too, because Albariño was like my gateway white wine. So that's funny. I totally agree. I love Albariño. So excited to be trying one later.
Always warning the youths against the gateway white wine Albariño.
Yeah, once you drink your first Albariño, woof. Yeah, there's no going back. You're playing the bagpipes and dancing. Well, we'll get into that later.
I know very little about Albariño, and bagpipes was not even going to be part of my guesses, but that's exciting. But no, thank you so much for joining us. We're always really appreciative. We know we start later. It's funny. I listen to some podcasts and people will be like, oh man, it's 7 a.m. in the morning. I can't believe I got out of bed for this. And we're just like, hi, come to our show. We start at 9 p.m. at night.
It's okay. This is almost like the Spanish time. This is good. I'm like reliving my glory days. Although if we were in Spain, we'd be getting ready to go to dinner right now. Absolutely. I mean, back when I was young and used to go out and to the discoteca, you would go to somebody's house for the pregame. The pregame would start at 11 at night, and then you go to the bar around 1 o'clock, and then the bars would close down at 3, and then you go to the discoteca until 6 in the morning. So they just have their own schedule there. I remember the last time I was in Galicia, I had a flight from Santiago, and my flight left at 7 in the morning, so I took my taxi at 6. And I couldn't get a cab because all the kids were coming home from the club at 6 in the morning. So it was quite I was like, oh yeah, that was me once upon a time back in the day. Yeah. The schedule is totally, totally different. Yeah.
I feel like there was 1 year in my life that I attempted that. I was just my roommate and I were like, we're going to go out, but we're not going to go out until 11:30. Otherwise, we're going to get way too drunk by 9. And then after 1 year of that, we're like, we're going to go to bed at 9.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Could not be me right now.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely. No way.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to talking about Galicia.
All right, so we're going to jump in. Noah, again, thank you so much for joining us. So just start us off. How did you get into wine in general? And then what about Galician wine did you find so captivating?
Yeah, I mean, I got into wine because I was working at a liquor store. I was in college, and I actually rented a room my senior year of college from this lady who owned the one wine shop. It was a small town in Western New York where I went to school. So I had the wine shop. It was a short commute to work. And I would go in. The whole thing was that I am young for my cohort or whatever, and so I didn't turn 21 until my senior year of college. And so I worked there the summer before. I was in the shop, and you can't sample the merchandise. I couldn't get high on my own supply while I was working there. You know what I mean? But I would get people coming in, and they're like, "Oh, well, what wine do I pair with my duck or my whatever? What does this Chianti taste like?" And I would have to sort of make shit up because I hadn't, I don't come from a wine drinking family per se. Like my parents are both teachers. they would drink their, $10 Chilean Cab Sauv on Friday nights as like the,
Sure.
take the edge off all the kids all week, right? But
Right.
it was never like, there was no crazy wine collection in the basement or anything like that. So anyway, I'm working in the shop, and one day I find up on the shelf somewhere, in the back, there's this huge book. And so I take it down, kind of like, blow the dust off the cover, whatever. And it's the Oxford Companion to Wine. And I'm bored out of my skull, and I'm like, look, I'm bullshitting all of these people about wine, so I may as well be doing it well. And so I cracked it open and kind of started to read about like, the cool climates and the warm climates. And I don't know, it was, I remember also I was taking a geology class at the time. I was like the one last like science thing that I had to take in college. And I was like, oh wait, rocks are interesting because they make wine. And then, you get into all the jokes about sommeliers like going out and licking rocks. And yeah, so it was, but it was one of these things. Oh yeah, just go in a vineyard and just start slurping.
Love to be licking rocks somewhere.
But it was one of these things where wine just ticked a lot of these boxes. That it's art first and foremost, right? But it's also chemistry and biology and geology. It's culture, and it's time. It's the way that time acts on things, and you're drinking a moment in time. It ended up just being a lot of these things. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I studied history and voice, actually, vocal performance. You're not going to make me sing on the podcast, but I do
also
have
studied voice
I have the
performance.
degree.
We can harmonize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
man, no,
Are
that'd
you
be
using your
delightful.
degree? I am not.
Yeah. Every time I have to do a tasting or something, I just project.
There it is.
There we go.
But
Yeah.
I finished up and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I had found this program that Spain has, and it was for English teachers. And the requirements were basically like, be alive, be a human person, and be a native English speaker, and have finished college. So that is to say, like, it wasn't like these, like, English is a foreign language or whatever. It was like, hey, young fellow, do you want to come to Spain and teach the youth? Okay, have I got a program for you? So I applied, and, you could choose where you wanted to go. They gave you like a couple of lists, like A, B, and C. And so like list A would be like all of the sort of like top destinations. Like I want to go to Madrid, or I want to go to Barcelona or Sevilla or whatever, right? And then the second list was like the entire north. So like Galicia, Asturias, the Basque Country, all of that. And then they put, the rest of it on a third list. And so I ended up putting Galicia first. I don't remember, the other autonomous communities that I chose. I ended up picking Galicia, and I ended up in this cool city called A Coruña, which is on the north coast of Galicia, in this language school for adults, which is like the best possible job, because I was talking like I am now. These are super high level learners, and we got to talking about all kinds of different things. So yeah, and the wine journey really started from there. That luckily these, I'll generalize, people like to say, oh, Europe isn't one country. Well, we know, right? But like, Spain, France, Italy, maybe even Germany to some extent, right? The sort of capital European countries, they have this drinking culture, and wine is an essential element of that. And so you're always kind of surrounded by it, whether or not you are actively looking for it. So yeah, I got really interested in it and fell in with a couple of people who were interested in wine. We used to have these little wine clubs, like we'd get together, and it's cheap also, and we were on like student visas, student salaries, and so we'd get our little like €2 bottles and be like, yes, notes of salt and sea spray and whatever, But yeah, and then the Rioja thing, you as you said in your wonderful intro, I was in Galicia for 3 years. And they changed the rules of this program, and they're like, well, you can stay in Spain, but you can only be here for 3 years. And so I said, well, I'll go to another wine region, Rioja. And when I was there was just so much tourism, and there were so many like English speaking people coming, and there's a lot of information. And I kind of looked around and said, maybe I'll write the Galician wine book. So the whole project with the website that I have now, winesofgalicia.com, came out of that I said, like, I'll write a Galicia book. And so the whole year that I was in Rioja was spent going to Galicia whenever I could, doing a lot of researching. I like signed up for a subscription to the Galician newspapers, because you can go back into their archives, like back into the 1900s. Just a lot of crazy stuff. And was lucky, I speak the Galician language as well. They speak their own language there. We can talk about that too if you want. But, it really helps to decipher all of this old stuff, but also to talk to people and to gain trust. You go and you talk to people and say like, hey, I'm doing this thing. I'm an American, but also I speak your language and I live here and I kind of understand your culture. And so anyway, that's the kind of long form version of this story. I could lengthen it, believe me, but that's I've practiced. People are like, so why did you do this again? Like this weird ass place in the middle of nowhere in northwestern Spain.
Well, it's funny you say middle of nowhere too, because I looked up over here, did a little research on where this was, and for the listener at home, if you're not familiar, as I admittedly was not, with where Galicia is, I mean, we're talking the most northwest of Spain that you could possibly be, right there on the coast, north of Portugal. So when I picture kind of Spain and Portugal, to me, it's almost like in my dumb head, like Portugal is kind of like all of the west, but no, there's a bit there that's
this teeny tiny little corner. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I think that's so cool, and it's so interesting to me too. You know, we've talked to a couple of people who kind of specialize in these, you know, not obscure, but these areas that you might not think of first when you think of wine, and I think that's so cool. So it makes me curious. You know, you were in Rioja, you were in Galicia. Was there a moment or a wine that clicked for you in Galicia that made you say, this is where I want to sort of dedicate my focus and, you know, this is where I want to spend my time?
The moment came kind of in Rioja because I was looking around and I was living in Logroño, which is kind of the capital city of Rioja. I had joined like the sommelier society, whatever, was going to tastings, was more, because Coruña is really cool. You know, there's the hospitality industry is pretty strong there, but it's not like a wine producing region the way that the sort of southern Galicia is more of the wine producing area. So Logroño, there was a book that had come out about it was called Vino Silencioso, so like the silent wines of Rioja. So it was talking about like the under the radar producers. And I said, like my Spanish is good enough. Maybe I could translate that. And that was kind of the moment that obviously didn't end up happening, but that was the moment of kind of, wait a minute, I could do something to tell the story of Galicia. So I don't know if there was a moment in particular when it all like clicked, like came together, but it was sort of that little process where I said, well, this is really cool. I lived there for long enough. There's nothing out there. There needs to be somebody to tell this story. So why not me, you know? Sure. And I still have major imposter syndrome. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you know, why me? Why am I doing this? But it has been a cool journey. Like the website came about after that year of research. I said, well, I had talked to some people and maybe I still will write the Wines of Galicia book someday. But people were like, look, unless you have 10 million Instagram followers or you're already famous or you're like a master of wine or a master somm, wine is not exactly the most lucrative of niche subjects for publishers, and this, you know, little niche region that few people outside of wine nerds have really delved into or heard of is not going to get you this, you know, crazy book deal, whatever. Sure. So I said, well, what can I do first? So I'll throw it online. I'll start a website. I'll start blogging about it, and so it spiraled from there. But Rioja was definitely it's funny that I had to leave Galicia to kind of have this moment of clarity that this is what I want to do with my wine career, so to speak, you know?
That is funny. Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome. And you have written for some major wine publications too, though, right?
Yeah, I write pretty regularly for Decanter. I've had some things in the world of fine wine. I wrote a piece for, you know, so the thing is that Rioja is also really cool and people love that. And so having that experience has allowed me to kind of, you know, I'm a certified Rioja wine educator through the Rioja DOCA. So no, you know,
using that voice performance voice again to really hammer that home.
Well, no, I mean, that was a cool experience too, right? And so like I was able to go, I've been living in the States since 2022. I came back to the States, and so I was able to go back a couple years ago and do that certification through Rioja. So kind of leverage that. But so, and I have something coming out in Wine Enthusiast later in the year, you know. So I do a little writing on the side as well about Galicia, Rioja, Spain in general.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There are so many really like amazing wine regions in Spain. I mean, every time we go back to Spain, we find another bottle of amazing wine. So what is it about Galicia and Galician wine in particular that really makes it stand apart from the rest of Spain and Spanish wine?
Yeah, what I was talking about earlier, I think the coastal aspect is really important. This idea of freshness, because most of Spain is in its essence a Mediterranean country. So you're getting fully defined seasons, right? You're getting at least a couple of fully defined seasons. You're getting this hot summer. You're getting this ripeness. And so I think a lot of people, when they think of Spain, they think of these powerful red wines like Ribera del Duero or Rioja, or, maybe they think of Cava, right? Or maybe if people are super nerdy, they'll think of sherry, right? Like sherry is an amazing category too. It's not just what Great Aunt Mildred drank after dinner,
But she did.
But she did.
But she definitely
But I'll say,
did.
just in general, it's just so different. The landscape is totally different, right? It's very green. I have not actually been to Ireland or Scotland or England, but everybody who looks at pictures say, wow, this is so Celtic. Like, it is comparable, right, to these other countries. They call it Green Spain, right? All of this top part of the coast. Cantabria, Asturias, the Basque Country, because it rains a lot, right? The rain in Spain falls mainly in Galicia, actually. You heard it here.
It doesn't rhyme.
I can tell you definitively. No, yeah, I know. That was actually the original lyric, and then they said, wait a minute.
This isn't working.
This doesn't rhyme. What can we do here? No, but so I think there's that, but also Galicia is so diverse. And I think a lot of Spain, once you actually go beneath the surface and you delve into that, it's not this monolithic, like, well, Rioja makes red wine from Tempranillo that tastes like vanilla and dill. Like, there's a lot more to that. And just like that, Galicia is not just Albariño, right? You have these native grapes, you have, putting aside, like, maybe people will have heard of Godello or Mencía, right? But then you have, like, Maranzao and Brancellao and Sousson and Caíño and Carabuñeira and, like, all of these crazy Branco Legítimo, like, all of these crazy Galician names.
Made that last one up.
Few people, yeah, right. It's like, one of these is not real. Which one is it? But it's like they have this amazing genetic heritage as far as grape varieties go, and they have a climate that really lends a lot of freshness, not just on the coast, but even as you go inland as well. So all over the place, and I think people really value that nowadays. We're looking for, the pendulum is swinging in the other direction, and people are looking for more acid-driven, fresh. How many times can I repeat the word fresh on this podcast? They're looking for these, to use
a little ding in the other.
Yeah, right. To use the like technical psalm term, like lifted wines, right? These wines that make you salivate, right? That are really food friendly at the same time, but you can, maybe by accident drink an entire bottle, right?
Sure,
like they make you come back for more. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, awesome. Amazing. And I have to say, like, I've been holding on to this for a few minutes now because I really appreciate that you, at the same time, kind of name, like, this is very niche, and it's hard to write a book on area of wine, folk, that isn't necessarily the first thing that folks think about when they think of wine. And for our podcast specifically, and for our purposes, we love this so much because. For me especially, like, I was the noob on the show. That was my role, and still is my role, of being like, I don't know what the difference between wines. And some of my favorite episodes have been wines from Spain and wines from Portugal specifically, because they've been so good and have such great value to them.
Well, that's why you're on the show. You obviously have innately good taste.
Obviously. But it's
we can argue about that later.
Off the air, Colin. But so, like, there's this it's this, like, catch-22 of, like, people aren't interested in this region, but people who don't really know wine yet really should be interested in this region, because there's so much more accessible and affordable wine from this space. So if we're talking to those folks who are just getting into wine, or maybe have not ventured into Galician wine yet, where would you recommend that they start?
Man, I think what we're drinking, I think what we have in our glass, Albariño, because that's the flagship grape. Albariño is, it's not, it's not like the other white wine anymore, right? It is its own thing. I think people are starting to slowly, like, you'll see it on, like, quote unquote, and I hate that wine people will use this term, but, like, normie wine lists, that you don't have all these crazy bottles, right? Like, you go, not to throw Josh under the bus, but, like, that's a wine that you see a lot, right? And so I think that now we're getting to a point where, like, I can walk into a random restaurant, like in my hometown, right? Which was always like Cabernet, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay. And you might see an Albariño on there. You might see, like next to the Pinot Grigio and Sauvignon Blanc, right?
Sure.
So because it's so accessible, because it's out there, I guess that would be my answer, right? I do remember actually having a kind of crazy moment where I came back. It was my first year back from Spain, and I walked into a wine shop, and I was like, "Do you have any red wines from Galicia?" And the guy was like, "Do they make red wines in Galicia?" So for the folks at home, the answer is yes. They make red wines in Galicia, and they're very good.
Good to know.
But as far as things to seek out and things like the gateway drug to Galicia, Albariño is definitely the most accessible one that you can find. And it's just such a beautiful wine. It is the quintessential seafood wine, but it can pair with a lot more things. There's a lot of different expressions to explore, just like you get into these grapes and we think of certain things like, oh, well, Sauvignon Blanc is grassy and, light and acid driven, or Chardonnay, people are like, oh, I don't like Chardonnay because it's oaky. Well, that's only one expression, right? And just like that, Albariño can have this kind of freshness, but you can also age it and it can get a lot of development and it can get very complex. So, there's a world that opens up there once you kind of try your first wine and you see, wow, like there's so many different directions that this can go in. Absolutely. But definitely the red wines as well. Mencía is this other crazy, really good grape, great value. You can find some really, really nice wines made from Mencía, super fresh. And so it's like for the crowd that likes, Beaujolais, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Franc, all of these kind of acid-driven, lighter red wines, Mencía is definitely a great way to go as well. So they make wines in a region called Ribera Sacra. They also make Mencía in Valdeorras, in Monterrey, but you'll find probably Mencía from Ribera Sacra or Albariño from Rías Baixas, right? Is this other wine region where they make Albariño. So those two grapes and those two regions would be my recommendation to get into Galician wine.
Wonderful.
That's
awesome. Noah, I just want to know a little bit more about the winesofgalicia.com, what you got going on there, and what you're excited about moving forward.
Yeah, I don't do it full time. So I work for a great importer distributor called De Maison Selections. That is my day job. So I am involved in the wine industry, but Wines of Galicia is all the sort of passion project, right? Luckily though, we can take a break and say, if you want the best Galician wine merch, head to winesofgalicia.com and you can get your Albariño hats and your Wines of Galicia, whatever. No, so I sell a little bit of merch. I do a little bit of writing, and so it's kind of that funds the expeditions to Galicia and my subscription to the local newspapers. So I know what's going on. But as far as what's next, I really wanted it to be a resource, and I didn't want to monetize it in the sense of putting up a paywall. I have a newsletter that people can sign up for. It's absolutely free. There's no advertising, whatever. So I'm lucky that I have something else going on and that I can do this and have it be a resource for people. So as far as what's coming next, there is now a producer guide section of the website that you can go to. Right now, I have pretty much finished Rías Baixas, but the idea is to have a little blurb about kind of every single producer in Galicia, in the major wine regions, that people can go on and say, look, like, who is this? I've seen their wines. What is the deal here? And then most recently, I've been getting a lot of, you guys know, I said, like, look, I still kind of feel like a nobody. I don't feel like this self-important, like Galicia, whatever. And so I did I put up a video on Instagram making fun of myself. I was like, so a lot of you guys have been asking, like the typical influencer or whatever. But it is true that I get a handful of people who send me an email and they're like, hey, I'm traveling to Galicia. Can you recommend anything? Who should I go see? Where should I go eat? Whatever. So the most recent thing is I came out with like a guide to where to eat and drink and shop and stay in Galicia. So kind of my recommendations and recommendations from friends and people I trust that people can, it's $10 if they want to download it, whatever. So I put that up on the website, and people have appreciated it, because I think it's one of these things where you go to a region and there is not a lot available in English. And so what I'm trying to do is be a very accessible resource. Yeah. And then, I've done some work with the Wine Scholar Guild as well, done some webinars and things with them. I have a class. I'm going to head out to Napa Valley Wine Academy early next year and do a little Galicia class. Yeah. So just trying to spread the word about how cool of a wine region this is, and like I said, make it as accessible to as many people as possible to learn about Galicia.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And we, again, like, we are all super jealous. We're super jealous that your main job is wine and your side hustle is wine. You're just like, this is my side job. My main job is I work for a wine importer. Like, damn it! Like, that sounds awesome. That also sounds cool. So
you could do worse. Yeah, you could do worse.
It's fantastic. So happy for you. Before we move into trying the wine that we found today, we would love to put you in the hot seat, ask you for a couple of hot takes. Hot take number one: what is your favorite cheap wine? Your guilty pleasure, not expensive wine.
You know, I'm not going to stray too far from home. I'll say Portugal. I'll say Vinho Verde.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah, we're big
because
fans.
Honestly, it's well, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the grapes, or the grape in Vinho Verde, is also Albariño. Alvarinho. They say it and spell it differently in Portugal, right?
Differently there.
So I live in New York City. I live in Queens, and there's a wine shop around the corner from my apartment, and they have like a liter bottle of Vinho Verde. And so sometimes if I'm just feeling a little frisky, I'm like, oh, what can I stick in the fridge? Maybe I'll put an ice cube or two in this. Maybe I'll put some seltzer in there. I don't know,
Yeah, that's right.
I'll get it's like $13.99 or whatever. It's like a liter bottle of Vinho Verde. And honestly, I'm someone who drinks a lot of wine in my day to day, and it's good. You can't fault it. It's not bringing tears to my eyes, and I'm not writing poetry about it, but it's good. It's something that's pleasant to drink. But I'll say Portugal in general. Even the red wines of Portugal, right? I really just love everything that I am discovering from Portugal and discover. So we'll say Vinho Verde, but we'll say Portugal in general.
We did Casal Garcia Vinho Verde on the show.
Yeah.
On the show like a little while back. It's like $7, and you're just like, this is for $7. Like, this is a great bottle of wine for $7.
Yeah, for sure.
Much appreciated. All right, second hot take: what wine do you think is overrated?
Albariño. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be the hottest of takes.
Overrated. Oh man. I'm going to take the diplomatic route, and I'm going to say that I am also lucky to work in the wine industry and to get try some crazy wines from crazy producers. Like, I'm not going to come on your show and be like, yeah, I drink DRC every week and it's totally overrated. But sometimes you taste wines that people talk about in like hushed tones. Like, oh, you have to try this producer because it's so amazing, and this is or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's good, And sure. I think that's the amazing thing about wine, is that there are plenty of people, and I am like just scratching the surface, right? I am very not knowledgeable, and don't try and pass myself off as, outside of Galicia, I don't know shit, But I don't try and pass myself off as some kind of expert. But I think that some of the most learned people I know don't take themselves seriously, and B, are not afraid to be like, yeah, sometimes you have an off vintage, you know what I mean? Like, even Michael Jordan has a bad game, right? You know what I mean? Like, you hear these wines talked about like, oh, this is amazing, this is the best thing, and it's so worth the price that you pay for it. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I think in general the wine world needs to, it's kind of a cop-out answer.
It's fine.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think in general, like, the most overrated wines are the wines that people like fantasize about and then buy, and it's a total letdown because it's either like marketing or it's whatever. So I don't know. For me, it's like, let's take a step back. Let's not take ourselves so seriously.
No, 100%. 100% appreciate you and your industry not getting yourself in trouble. But two, the general vibe of like, and that's the point of the show really is like, yeah, like there are probably amazing wines out there that you can spend so much money on, but like there's a marketing and there's a branding aspect of it that, you could be let down. There's a lot of really great stuff out there that you don't have to break the bank over. So it's about what you like and what your experience is, and having enough wine knowledge to know what that is.
Yeah, and I'm lucky too that I hang around with some people who make just a little bit more money than all of us that are crazy, whatever, and they're very generous. But sometimes it's like I'm not going
Nice.
to say it in front of them, but sometimes you have something like, oh yes, this is amazing, this is blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, it's good,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you guys are doing, what your mission is, right? Like they wasted their money, so I didn't have to, so you're wasting your wine so that the good people at home don't have to. You know what I mean?
Damn right. Damn right.
For sure.
I mean, the best tasting wine is wine someone else bought for you. So, that's
Yeah,
it.
no, for sure, for sure. But that's why
There it
that's why
is.
we have critics at the end of the day. That's why we have people who are independent voices. Because if you're dropping money, whether it's $50 or $500 on a bottle of wine, you're not going to be like, oh, that was crap.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's
Yeah,
that's why we
totally.
have people who can objectively evaluate anything.
This was good. This was life changing, wasn't it? Wasn't
Right.
it?
Yep.
This was
It was
worth it.
life changing.
It was worth it, wasn't
I
it?
remortgaged my house. I refinanced my house to pay for this wine.
Tell me it was worth it.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, amazing. I feel like I need to process all that. We just learned so much. But let's try this wine out. So we're excited.
Yeah.
No, would you like to tell the listener what we are all drinking together today?
We are drinking Martín Códax Albariño from Rías Baixas.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I have to say, in the grand scheme, and this again, something we love about the region. I know by me, this bottle cost $13. Was that
Yeah, I
about
think
the
I
same
paid
for everyone?
15 for mine. Yeah,
Yeah, you have the New York borough.
got
Or
that
you
New
open
York
your own.
markup,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. But yeah, so obviously a wine that is sitting in that danger zone price range that we've kind of named in the past. Like we're like, once you get below a certain price, we like to think there's good wines at every price range. But once you get below a certain price, you're really rolling the dice. So like, let's get into it and let's see how this holds up. Maybe we have that Spain, Portugal area magic where, that value is really there. So let's get it on the nose and see what we're getting. No, I'm going to let you go first because you're an expert in this field and you're going to take all the good things. So, Joel, you go ahead.
I don't know. It smells like white wine to me.
Ah, there it is. Smells like wine. Okay.
Tastes like wine.
Joel, hit us up. What are you getting on the nose?
Wow. Really just kind of cool on the nose. This is going to sound very strange, but, well, maybe it won't sound that strange. But kind of the first thing that I pick up on is the kind of the minerality, like that's the first thing that I'm really kind of getting. Picking through that, I mean, obviously, little citrusy notes, but boy, isn't that interesting? Like it's the saltiness, salinity.
You're
maybe
tasting the
that's
sea.
spoken
Yeah,
out.
that sea
It's
spritz.
the sea coming right off.
Sea spritz.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's the first line. It has to be. Colin.
Yeah, I think that's right. You get a little bit of citrus, maybe a little bit of green apple in there too, but more like
Sure.
green apple rind than it is more intense green apple. But you're right, the minerality and that salinity does for sure stick out.
No.
I mean, I think you guys nailed it. That's the classic Albariño tasting note is like, mussel shell, oyster shell, that kind of like sea spray. And then citrus, right, would be the next thing. So
sure.
kind of lemon, lime, green apple, all of the kind of green Granny Smith apple crisp
Yeah.
kind of things. I do get a little bit of like peach apricot thing there as well.
Ooh, I like
but more of
apricot.
like
That's
a
nice.
white peach, like underripe
Definitely.
kind of thing.
Love that. Yeah, and I the more I smell it, the more grapefruit I get, along with those other citrus notes.
I was just a comparative note for like the folks who've been coming along with us, like building out their wine repertoire. Like right off the bat, there isn't anything scary or shocking or strange. If you are a Pinot Grigio drinker or a Savi drinker and you stuck your nose in this, you'd be like, hello, old friend. Like it'd be very familiar in the experience. So just something to think about before we take a sip,
Yeah.
which we'll do right now. Colin?
That's Albariño, baby.
Albariño, baby.
I think the peach and the apricot come across on the palate a lot more, for me anyway, than they did on the nose. I think that's a great call. And then all those citrus, that salinity, it's just, that's It's the reason why I love Albariño. It just really hits you with that saltiness and with those other citrus flavors. Really just so refreshing.
Joel?
Love that acidity. What was the word that you used earlier, Noah, that Psalms like to say for
Lifted.
Lifted.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that into our ether here because, I mean, I think that's a perfect word here. Just very, you're 100% right too, Colin. I'm glad you said that the, fruit notes definitely much more prevalent on the palate. But still, I mean, I would say it goes to 50-50. Like, I still love just not only the taste of the salinity and I'm going to say minerality too, a little bit in there, but also just the mouthfeel. Doesn't it make for just a really nice sip?
Yeah.
Crisp. It's refreshing. Yeah. It just makes you want to drink more.
Don't steal the only thing I feel good about Joel talking about like structure and not flavors. Like I'm like, ooh, it's acidic and it feels nice and it's crisp and it's.
I'm sorry.
I
don't
don't
mean
know
to step on your toes, but it's
like
such a big thing when you're drinking this one.
You're 100%
but go
right.
Ahead.
No, just you already said it. No, it's 100% right. It's just like it's just that really nice. Like the acidity is so well balanced, I think, and it just has that nice, crisp kind of feeling. And on top of that, there's a little bit of a linger in taste that just kind of hangs around for just the right amount. I won't step on your toes and start talking about porch pounder-ish aspect, but I'm already thinking about like where I want to drink this, and I'm imagining myself next to a pool or next to the apparently very long beaches of Galicia.
I can see that.
It has that vibe to it.
Yeah.
Noah?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I would encourage you to kind of think about too is if you take another sip, which shouldn't be too hard with this wine, the finish.
Unless I run out.
Yeah, oops. Got to open the backup bottle.
Oh, no.
The finish in Albariño tends to have this slight bitter sensation, which you can generally find kind of on the back of the tongue. That comes from the thick skins. So the thing with Rias Baixas is that it rains a lot, right? And so Albariño is cool also because some of these grapes in Galicia were brought to Galicia from elsewhere, but Albariño, they believe, is native to this area, either Galicia or northern Portugal, which back in the day, there weren't any kind of political boundaries. So it's native to this area between Galicia and northern Portugal. So it's cool if you think that the grape evolved to be in the rain. So it's got thick skin to protect against rain, but also against like fungal infections. So like we talk about mildew, downy mildew, powdery mildew, all of these kind of funguses that can arise when you have this humid climate. So that bitterness in the skins, the thickness in the skins can translate into this kind of bitterness. Not an unpleasant. I don't want people listening at home to think like, oh, this is a bitter wine, but just a slight kind of sensation of like it
lingers a little bit in the back.
Exactly.
And you know what it makes me want to do? Is take another sip.
Yeah,
totally. It's like, it's like we talk about like acidity cause you to salivate, to cause you to be more thirsty, to cause you to like drink more.
Totally.
And it's as similar. You get that taste, that almost bitterness, like you said, in the back of your mouth, and you're like, oh man, what am I gonna do about this? I guess I'm just gonna drink more.
You know what that lingering flavor and experience there makes me want to do too is eat something with this. Like it's such a pleasant finish that I'm having a strong desire. I'm not going to say yet until you guys say what you're wanting, but and we don't always talk about this, Noah. What we would pair with this, but like this one is making me think of specific things so much that I think it's worth taking a chat about. But yeah,
well, it's your
you guys
Joel.
having the same thing?
Stop leaving us.
Grilled shrimp, man. I want like grilled shrimp so badly right here. It would go so well.
Oh yeah,
oysters, any seafood. God, I mean, Galicia is right near the ocean there, right?
Galicia has some of the best seafood in the world. And I'm the Galicia guy, but I'm not exaggerating when it's considered to be some of a lot of the tinned fish that you get in all these fancy tinned fish shops come from Galicia.
That's so hot right now too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's everywhere.
But yeah, anything like mussels, oysters, razor clams, crab, lobster, grilled shrimp, all of it. I drink Albariño pretty much with anything, though. I think it's a really food-friendly wine. Even hard cheese, soft cheese, It's very versatile. It's got a lot going for it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. All right.
Should we talk about whether this is certified porch pounder real quick? Because I mean,
why don't we let's come back. Let's not jump the gun. We're going to come back to it. I want you to hold on to that. I want you to hold on to the pears, and we're just gonna let it. We're gonna let it marinate a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Let's not jump the gun on this.
Let's not jump the gun, and let's give one more. I'm gonna hand the mic back to Noah one more time because Noah, we want to hit us up with before we move on to our final review. What should everyone know about Galicia?
Okay. The 3 things that you should know about Galicia. Rapid fire. Let's go. Green, fresh, Atlantic. That was one. Green, fresh, Atlantic. It's diverse. It has such a wealth of native grape varieties. It has a ton of different elevations and orientations, and there's water everywhere, and no 2 plots next to each other are the same. So you're going to have a lot of different wines, even if they're from the same region next to each other. And then the third thing you should know is that it's delicious. All of the wines are really, really good. They're wines that you want to drink. They're pleasant. They're pleasurable. They will make you happy. They will make your mouth happy. You should drink Galician wine.
Hot damn. That was like the best ad. They should hire you. Galicia should hire you.
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday to Galicia.
Yes, now I can use that. Yay! I've been trying to figure out how to use that. For folks who are not online, it is the trending audio file right now. God damn it. All right, so here we go. $13 to $15 bottle of wine. Noah, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
This for me is fantastic. And, one of the reasons it's not just a great value bottle of wine, because there's a lot of great value to be found in Galicia. But Martín Códax in general, I didn't tell you guys this earlier, it's a co-op. So there's 300 plus growers who sell grapes to Martín Códax. It's one of the most important cooperatives in Galicia. It helps keep a lot of grape growers employed. So that for me makes it really cool. For being a quote unquote mass market wine, they're distributed by Gallo, right? Which is one of the largest distributors of wine, besides making the Gallo wines that you see in your local liquor stores. Like they're very wide ranging. So just to give you an idea of like, this wine can be found all over the States. I want to say they make like about 250,000 cases, which is not that much for when you compare it to the world of wine. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a great initiative. It's a great co-op. These were one of the founders of the Rías Baixas wine region, really helped to kickstart Albariño as a grape in Rías Baixas. So for me, beyond just being a great bottle of wine and a great value, it's got some history behind it too. So you're really kind of drinking the wine that helped to kickstart Rías Baixas.
Amazing. All right, Joel, how you feeling?
Let's see. Honestly, I'm really enjoying this. I'm trying to think of what's in my wine fridge.
Wow. It's another day that ends in Y. Another day that Joel takes something out of his wine fridge.
I haven't done this in a very long time.
You're right. It's been 3 weeks.
It's been longer than that.
No, I don't think it has.
Damn, you're enjoying it that much, Joel? You're contemplating your wine fridge?
Yeah, I'm just thinking through it. I don't know if it's going to go.
While you're thinking, let me give a quick reminder. So for the folks at home,
Yeah.
very simply, our ranking system, we don't believe in numbers on the show. We believe in how folks feel. So, there's obviously a waste your wine, drain wine. There's backup wines, which are, they're not going to hurt you, but like it's break glass in case of emergency. Casual sippers are wines that you can drink around the house, it's fine, but I wouldn't show it off. Must shares are wines that they're good, and we encourage you to share with other people and talk about it. And then our wine fridge wines, we all only get 3. We have 3 spots in our wine fridge, and they're our current favorite wines. When something comes out, doesn't mean it's no good anymore. It's just our current favorite wine. So Joel is
to a place of honor.
Yeah, it's just contemplating his wine fridge right now.
Yeah. Okay, here's my what I'm going to officially rule. This is going to be a absolute stone cold must share for me, and one that flirted with the wine fridge, which is
Rubbed his hand gently across the glass of the wine fridge.
yes,
Walked away.
quite. Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's just so enjoyable. Like I don't think I have any notes. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really good. Yeah. And I enjoy the whole experience the whole way through. And it's just so pleasant. So yeah, I think that's going to be my official ruling. Absolute must share. I don't think that there's like any, whatever you kind of classify yourself as, I'm this kind of wine drinker. This is my go-to region or my go-to grape. I think I could bring this to anybody and be like, yeah, but you're going to enjoy this and be really, really confident that they're going to. So just a really cool Albariño, really cool bottle of wine. Nice.
Colin, I'm gonna let you go last. I'm gonna hop in, and I'm gonna let you close it out. I agree with Joe. And you know what? The thing I think that's really cool about this is, we have must shares on this show that cost $40, $50, $100. I'm sure as the show continues, we'll continue to have like really great expensive wines. And I think the thing that I'm learning most about wine is just like individual types of varietals. Like everything has its own kind of range of what's important and what's expected. And I think, as an Albariño and the value you're getting here, it is just so tasty. It's so crisp. Mm-hmm. And at the price, it's like, yeah, this is a must share. If you're going to go into a liquor store and this bottle is there, like, do not buy a $12 bottle of Josh Pinot Grigio. Not to like badmouth Josh, but it's like, if you're talking about like quality and whatnot, like just, this is different and it's good. And it's a little more complex, and it's the same price point as a lot of those like super mass-produced big brands. And so this is where like knowledge is power, and you're gonna get the value out of it. So it's an absolute must-share, and it's a great experience at the lowest possible price point that we generally recommend when we're like looking at wines. Colin, what do you think?
Yeah, so I mentioned Albariño was my gateway white wine, and actually Martín Códax was the bottle of wine that I had back in the day.
Oh.
So crazy that we've kind of come full circle here.
Little walk down memory lane for you.
Yeah, it really was. And it was as good this time as I remember it being last time. Really just a fantastic bottle of wine for $14. It's an absolute must share. I mean, the value you get out of this has to be like the king of value wines at $14. I mean, I don't think you're going to find much better at $14. Honestly, has a little bit of complexity. It's not the most complex wine in the world, but we called out a couple different things in there, and it's just damn tasty. Mm-hmm. You just want to drink it. I want to drink a lot of it, and I want to keep drinking a lot of it. So
I have drank a lot of it. Yeah, it's almost gone. I want to have like a face-off battle between like Vino Verde at like $8 or whatever it's going for now in this bottle, and let's have them be like cheap off.
This bottle is like 10 times better than the Vino Verde, and I liked the Vino Verde very much, but 2 times the cost. Like this is exponentially
like
more valuable.
Try it out. We should put them head to head, and it's going to cost you less than $20. Like,
totally.
Well, and I'll say too for the folks at home that the value train don't stop here. If you get up. There are producers, just to shout out a couple that I love, right? Like Zarate, Do Ferrero, Albamar, just to name 3 off the top of my head, right? Pato Señorans. You'll get to paying like $30, $40, $50 a bottle for Albariño, and it delivers for, if you were buying, for example, like Chablis or something, right? Or Sancerre or any of these, insert kind of en vogue wine appellation here, you would have to pay double or triple. We were talking about like big name producers, Grand Cru, whatever. And for a fraction of the price, if you buy Albariño for, like I said, 30, 40, $50, it's going to over deliver. And you can cellar it, you can stick it in the wine fridge. It's going to get better. And it goes for all Galicia. We talked a little bit about Ribera Sacra, Valdeorras, Godeo, some of these other regions. Totally over delivers. Totally underappreciated, underrepresented. If people buy these wines and show them a little love, they'll see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, amazing, awesome. Yeah, no doubt. Joel, so what are you thinking, man? Is this a certified porch pounder?
I'm always very torn because. Hold on, let me have another sip.
The answer is yes.
There's no
Aaron.
negative
This is a
connotation
certified
here.
porch
What are we talking about? I feel like Joel's somehow made certified porch pounder like a bad thing.
You know what? You're right. I think I might have to some extent because sometimes I will avoid putting them, putting a wine into a CPP category because it's too good, and I'm letting myself do that with this, where I think I'm getting away from the spirit of the CPP, which is it should be good. It should just also be incredibly drinkable and refreshing. So with that in mind and my clear view of the true meaning of the certified porch pounder,
Clear eyes.
yes, we're going to stamp this,
heart,
in my
families.
opinion.
Yeah.
You guys can outvote me, but we're going to stamp this
Ding, ding, ding.
certified
Absolutely.
porch pounder.
At
There's
$13 too? Like, what are we worried about here? What are we? We're like, what are we?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay,
finish
I
this
was
on my
worried it was-
porch as soon as we're done recording. Like, this is.
This is
Fair
his
enough.
porch boundary. This is the king of the porch boundary. Honestly, this exemplifies porch.
I will build a porch just to drink this wine on. Like, this is very
I
good.
believe you will.
You go to Spain, it's the Plaza Pounder.
Yes.
There you go.
I love it.
Certified the plaza in the plaza. You have the wine in the plaza. Yeah.
We don't even need to change the acronym. Like, it's the same. Come on, like, it's perfect. Amazing. Awesome. So absolutely not a waste of your wine. Obviously, must share. Certified porch pounder, $13 to $15. Like, if you see this, grab it. It's a great value and a delicious wine, and super crisp. Like, my God, what are you doing right now? Listening to this? Turn this off, and go buy this wine. But before you leave, and before Noah you leave, let's play a game. We're gonna
All right,
play.
let's do it.
I have a pick your poison. I found one, and I'm actually very excited about it. So for listener at home, pick your poison is pretty much like choose the least worst of two situations. So I'm gonna give you two potential wine related scenarios, and inspired, Noah, by your travels.
Uh-oh.
Pick your poison.
How'd you know about the time I got food poisoning?
If only we had time to pry deeper in this.
No.
No, okay, so actually, I found this experience when I was in Napa, and I bought all this really cool wine, and then I was like, shit, how do I get this wine home? And so I made a decision. And so let me ask you all your two choices. Do you buy a bunch of wine and then pay an insane amount of money to ship the wine? Let's say you're a flight from home back home, and trust that and spend the money there. Or do you buy a spare piece of luggage and pack your wine in with all of your underwear and cross your fingers and check it to save that money and hope that your 8 bottles of wine that you fit into your luggage makes it home? Pick your poison. Pay for shipping or cross your fingers.
Oh,
So
man.
this is really just a logistics pick your
I just
poison
want to know what
today.
I should do next time. This is for me.
Okay. Sure.
A quick clarifying question: do I get to pack the box that the wine is in, or does somebody else pack it?
Oh, the shipping box? Ooh, that's a good.
Yes.
Let's assume that you've bought from a bunch of different places and you packed your box and then you're bringing it to UPS and you are paying $1 billion for them to ship it.
I'm shipping it. Yeah, I think that's the most efficient way, honestly. And I work for a company that does a lot of UPS shipping, so I could probably do it for free.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
Inside man here. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Fine.
Oh, man.
Noah, who has strong opinions here?
I mean, I've done both. I'm gonna say I'm going to buy the extra luggage. I'm gonna.
Oh, man.
That's fair.
Yeah, I am going to just like bubble wrap and pray. That's that would be the move. Oh man, but it is a good question because as someone who works in the industry, I can tell you that the wine industry is 90% logistics and 10% vibes. That's the way to break down the wine industry. 90% logistics, 10% vibes.
We just found our title for this episode.
There it is. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Joel, what are you doing?
I don't check bags, so I only have the option of shipping, so I'm shipping. Yeah.
I don't check
bags. Sorry.
Joe.
I don't do it.
Because of like a past trauma, or you're just too good for it.
Yeah, well, because when you check a bag, guys, the bag goes into this
Here we go.
black hole, and then what if you want to hop a flight later? What if something crazy happens and you want to go home? Just carry on, guys.
I did when we were in Napa. We went to TJ Maxx, like 5 hours for our flight. Bought a small thing of luggage. Bought towels, wrapped everything up, tossed some ice packs in there, closed it all up, and just prayed. And you know what? Everything made it back fine.
There you go.
There you go.
We made it. We made it. I just couldn't. You go to some of those places and they're like, "Oh, here's our shipping." Like if you go to that and you actually buy like a wine shipping container, they want like $150 for like
$1 billion.
Yeah, like molded styrofoam. I'm like, I don't. They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you at the end of that thing.
It's also like wanting an umbrella or a poncho at Disney when it's raining. It's
100%.
Like, what are you gonna do?
They're like, oh, isn't this wine delicious? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna get these 10 bottles home? Here's a suitcase shaped like one giant bottle of wine. All right.
Oh man.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for playing. Hey, split evenly. Well done for different reasons. Fantastic. Noah, thank you so much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate it. Every time we have someone on, it's always amazing. We have not had anyone we have been disappointed by yet, except that one person.
Oh, glad I didn't break the streak. Oh man.
Okay, there's no one. Everyone's been great.
Thank you guys. This has been awesome.
Of course. Before we let you go, last shout outs you want. Anything else you want our listener to know about before we let you go?
I think we covered it all. Honestly, I just want people to drink Galician wine. We covered it. It's great value. Yeah. What are you doing? Why are you not drinking? Why are you drinking anything else? Go out and drink Galician wine. Come on.
Stop drinking all other wines. Only drink Galician wine.
There you go.
I'm in. And Joel, how can our listeners continue to support this wonderful podcast?
Yeah, honestly, follow us on Instagram, Stop Wasting Your Wine. That's where we're hanging out the most. And hey, wherever you're listening to us, if you haven't followed us, please do. And thanks for listening, and thanks for telling a friend.
Lovely. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week with another incredible episode. Until then, Joel,
remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye, y'all.
Drink more Galician wine.
Also, thanks for teeing me up on the outro line. That was great.
Of course.